All right, so we have this two different student record types. We have created those two, but there is one problem. For example, let's say I am trying to create an international student record. Click next. All the fields are good. I see the visa related fields down here. And then, but when I check this residency status, I see values that do not necessarily belong to international student. For example, international student cannot be citizen, right? And they cannot be permanent resident either. How can I get these two fields removed from here? Similarly, if I also try to create a domestic student record type, I see those values as well, again, in the residency status field. If I'm creating a domestic student record type, I shouldn't see this field, these values, F1, M1, and J1 student visa. How can we configure this pick list field so that only the applicable values can be displayed to users? So in order to do that, what we need to do is let's cancel out from here. Let's go to setup, and then we will navigate to our student object manager, and then student object. And here we will click on the record types link. And then we will click on this domestic student record type. And here we are given an option to choose pick list fields for editing. Okay, for editing. So in order to display the applicable values for a pick list field, we have to navigate to the correct record type and then make changes there. In this case, for this domestic student record type, we want to show only the permanent resident and citizen values for this residency status pick list. So that's why we came to this page, or we had to come to this page. So what we're going to do is, once you locate the pick list field, you're going to click on edit. And then from here, you are going to keep only the values that you need. So if you're talking about domestic student record type, we don't need these three values, right? Just select them and remove them, and then save it. Do the same thing for the other record type. So we're done with domestic student record type. Now do the same thing for international student record type. Go there, then click on edit next to this field. If we're talking about international student record type, they need to have these three fields, these three values, but they don't need these two values. And remove it, and then save. Right? Let's try to demo our scenario again. Let's do a refresh. I'm going to click on New button and select domestic student record type. Click Next. Check the values in your residency status field. Now I see only two values. Okay. Let's try the same thing for international student record type. Check the values in this field, which is residency status, and we see three values that are available, that are applicable to this record type. So that's how we arrange values for Picklist fields. Okay, let's cancel out from here. And another thing is, one thing that I would want to have, one feature that I would want to have is, for example, this student, if I'm viewing this student, I want to know whether this is an international student record type or domestic student record type, right? Right now, we don't have any visual indicator. There is no way for me or for somebody new that joins our company to recognize if this is an international student record type or domestic student record type, right? They may recognize that after checking this visa number fields, but that's not a guarantee either. I want to have a field here. I want to have a field here that displays the record type name for the student. Similarly, when I visit a domestic student record type, I want a field here on this page as well that shows me the record type name. So that way I can easily tell what the record type is. So we have a built-in feature for that already. So how do we handle that? So we're going to click on Setup, Edit Object. That will take us directly to Student Object. And then click on Page Layouts. And then select the page layout. Under this Fields option, we have a record type field, right? This is a standard field, record type field. Just drag and drop this record type field. All right, scrolling up a little bit and drag and drop this record type field under this System Information tab or section, and then do Quick Save. Similarly, do the same thing for your other page layout. Let's navigate to International Student Page Layout and do the same thing there too. Under Fields, scroll up a little bit, drag and drop this field over here, and save. Let's go back to our student record and do a refresh here, and then check if that field gets displayed. It's not here yet. Let's do a refresh. And here it is. Now we have this record type, and it displays the record type that is applicable to this student record. So this is a domestic student record type we're looking at. Similarly, if I go to other student record, for example, Mohammed Sayed was international student, and we see that information over here too. And one more thing, if we go to our old students, the older students that were created before we created that record type, and there we see, we don't see that. So we click here and we don't see that field over here. All right, we don't see that field over here. And if we want to see that field over here too, what we have to do is we have to go to the page layouts. Remember, this was the default page layouts, right? This was the default page layouts. We're going to need to click on it. That was a page layout initially given to each student record that was created. This is before we had the record types for student. And then from there, you can again grab this record type and drop it here. All right, and then click Save. We did that, if you realize, we did that for each page layout. And then let's go back to our Johnny Cash, which was our older student who was created before we had those record types. And now let's do a refresh. And we get that information here. Okay, we got that field here. But this record type, this record does not have a record type assigned to it yet. Okay, because this was created before we had those international and domestic student record types. If I want to, I can convert this student to any of those record types that I want. I can convert him to domestic student record type or international. Let's go ahead and convert it to international. And next. And then save. Boom. Now it is converted to international student record type. We also have another student that is older, Mike Tyson, and we can convert him to, let's this time convert to domestic student record type. Click next, save, and that's it. We have now 4 students here, and each of them has their own record type, either international or domestic. So that's how we modify Picklist values for record types, as well as add this nice feature, which is that record type field to the page layout so that we can easily recognize what record type we are looking at.